Hi, Chris Duff over at Serious Land Capital, vacant land funding partner. Wanted to provide a couple updates regarding those much larger minor subdivide projects that we're working on that were roughly $500,000 total money into each deal. So really quick on the Texas subdivide, the roughly 50 acres. I know I've remarked a few times before, but kind of once in a decade type deal, just one of those killer purchases that, you don't even blink before agreeing to it. So out of the three child parcels that we divided the property up into, we already got one firm offer as of yesterday. Property hasn't even been on market for 2 weeks. And that purchase price was a little over X price per acre. And normally, if we get something like that, we're jumping for joy. Minimal negotiation, but usually we're going to be quite happy with a 2x gross, basically anything that we purchase, especially something so quick. But because this is a more unique, superior property, we think it can get closer to 3x gross. From a price per acre perspective. And, that's where we priced it at. So we actually felt that 2X offer was lowballing us. And so we countered back. Plus, they wanted a really long closing time, 75 days, when there's really nothing untoward about the property. There's no real complexity toward it at all. Flat land, utilities, no real terrain issues, anything like that. So it didn't really justify that type of length of time there. So we pushed back on that, tried to counter a lot higher. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, good to see the activity. And weather across the country is pretty poor at the moment. And even in Texas, it's been well below freezing for most of this week. So usually people aren't out viewing land in weather like this, so it's good to see even in kind of poor weather situations that we're getting traction there. So just to update you all on our progress there, as far as a deal that we obviously felt really good about and starting to see some initial traction here quickly. Had another potential buyer out yesterday looking at the entire tract, so we'll kind of see that. And marketing isn't even fully optimized yet. Still need a couple of the child parcels up on land.com as well. There can be a couple other photo adjustments too, relatively minor, but still key factors that we want to adjust. On the larger Louisiana deal that we are pursuing, so we are actively raising outside capital, and most of it is raised at this point. That we had some more in-depth investor questions, which is great. I'd be the same way before we purchase any property. We are diving in as deep as possible, always asking every last question that we can. And probably the largest procedural risk we had associated with this 32-acre property, at least 32 acres on paper. Survey hasn't been done yet. It's probably going to be closer to 35, actually. Is a parish level approval for the minor subdivide. So there had been some back and forth zoning changes or proposed changes over the past roughly half decade in that particular parish in Louisiana. And so it was a little unclear from the online materials how that might affect road frontage requirements for child parcels and just the overall approval process. Plus, there seemed to be an existing historic preservation overlay from a zoning side that you could only see from the county level GIS. And so we looked at all the various ordinances, and this is where AI tools come in handy. Plug in Claude and have it review the whole county ordinance and ask it various questions. AI isn't perfect yet. When you get some discordance amongst the answers, and then when you go back, like to me, even Perplexity, Claude, etc., especially at like high purchase price where you really have to be certain, go back and check on some of that info, and it's relatively quick. Like if there's a bullet point that it pops out and you're like, I'm not sure about this, or it's a little unclear, like you just do Control F, find it within the document and try to see that initial source. And I've been disappointed even more recently. I know these models are getting better and everything, but when you actually go back to the source document, I'm like, well, what the AI told me is definitely not the actual regulation that's pertinent to this property. So, you wouldn't trust AI as gospel just yet. It can help lead you in the right direction, make your search a little bit easier, but it's still worth going back and checking. So we utilize that technique as well when we were reviewing some of these ordinances. And even though we had a broker who was very familiar with the subdivide process in the area, has lived there his whole life, has done multiple of these subdivides within his career, including currently, and so knows the whole process. Because there was so much money at stake, we're not local to the area, have other investors' money in this deal. We also hired a local attorney, real estate attorney in the area, who in this case also served for 15 years previously on the Planning and Zoning Commission for that particular parish, so kind of knows what's going on inside and out. He had personal connection with the current planning and zoning director, and so for a very small attorney fee, I mean, we budgeted $1,000, could have been more but it ended up being $250. This attorney had a conversation with that P&Z director, and we already received tacit approval for our minor subdivision, which is basically as close to a guarantee as you can get, and removed any doubt regarding what that historic preservation overlay was. It turns out that was an error, and there was pushback amongst the community over like the past decade regarding some of those overlays, and just some of these maps hadn't been updated. So sometimes as an out of town investor in some of these areas, there's a lot of good online info oftentimes, but for investors like us who operate nationally and are used to coming into new locations all the time, it's even more critical to find those local experts so you don't get stuck in a potential bad deal. So understanding who to trust and then actually trusting those individuals or groups of individuals is absolutely critical to expand your operations outside of a locality where you might have a lot more familiarity. And in order to get familiarity with a certain locality, you're going to have to trust experts initially anyway. So it's a kind of chicken and egg type of situation. That is just a bit of an update there. So you could kind of quickly see, for minimal investment in, we were able to figure out the potential largest risk from a regulatory and plan perspective in relation to this particular parcel, understand fully what we can do from a subdivide perspective, get tacit approval from the primary decision maker in the parish. This isn't going to be an available route everywhere in the country. The more rural areas might be easier to work with, able to more reliably get in contact with folks. But in this case, we were able to clarify all of those issues so we could present all of that back to our investors as well and have 100% confidence that we have truly selected the correct local experts in order to move forward with the proposed plan that we have for the parcel. So that just gives you an idea on how we approached it and, kind of our MO in terms of operating all across the country, even for very high dollar deals. We've never operated in central Louisiana before, let alone a minor subdivide there. And, we're about to invest, roughly $500,000 in cash. You want to be extra certain before moving forward there, and we're confident based on our experience and our process that we were able to arrive at that right decision. There were a few other technical related items there. As we're going through the process, we'll probably update a bit further, but felt this would be helpful to share at the moment, since we are imminently planning to close on that property. Wanted to hopefully help out some of you all that are in a potentially similar situation or might encounter one soon. With that, we'll wrap up. Check out seriousland.capital for any of your funding needs for various land deals. I got another couple messages that the deal submission form was not working. Our web developer fixed it a couple weeks ago. Now there's more issues, so we're actually going to set that up on a separate page just to remove those tech issues. Part of being a startup, there's always something breaking every day. It's just, how big is the fire? So if you're ever running into issues there, you can just email funding@seriousland.capital. Your deal, if there's ever a website issue, but we are working on it, and appreciate all of you letting us know when there is an issue on any of our websites. And then Land Daily Diligence Facebook group for zero cost review of your land deals. I'm about to hop onto that now, Mondays and Thursdays. And then landpricer.ai for the most simple and accurate way to price land. I was actually just test running the full script that we're planning to relaunch to the public. There's a couple critical bugs at the moment that prevent the full script from running. So my engineering team is working on that right now. But yeah, we are undergoing internal testing, all set for beta launch as soon as those critical bugs are fixed. Quality of life features, but yeah, very exciting to see that it is getting so close. With that, subscribe and share. Take care. Bye.